Views expressed by Casters Guild members are only the opinions of that member, and that could change from day to day. Guild members may use mature language, but that in no way means they are mature. Listener discretion is advised.
Charles Martinet gets promotion, an Alabama cop and Pokefan gets caught red-handed, and we got a mess of cool new game trailers. That's the spell we're casting tonight on Casters Guild. Thank you for tuning into this episode of Casters Guild. I'm your Guildmaster Rick Perry, the best romance option in Baldur's Gate 3.
And I'm your Guildmaster Baron Kane, and it's still real to me, damn it.
I'm sorry that it's still touching you in that way.
I mean, yeah, it's painful.
Speaking of painful, Charles Martinet officially is no longer the voice of Mario or any of the other Mario characters.
Why? Any reason? Retiring?
The official release from Nintendo states that he will now have a new position.
Okay.
His new title will be Mario Ambassador.
Okay.
And his job will be traveling around the world spreading the joy of Mario.
Are we kind of just thinking that this is we want to use other people for Mario, but we don't want to screw you over, so here's a job for you to do that you're going to keep getting paid for, probably until you die, and
I think that's exactly what that is, and I think that's awesome of Nintendo to do. Take this 67-year-old man who obviously can't be in the voice booth all the time anymore.
Right. No, I'm fine with it.
I mean, he could have just as easily been like, all right, Martinet, you're done, and like thrown him out on his ass.
Absolutely, yeah.
But good guy Nintendo at it again, created a whole new position and just be like, just go around and like do like convention appearances and
do what you've been doing.
Yeah. Be awesome. Still get paid.
Yeah, that's cool.
As far as I'm concerned, all this does is increase the possibility that I might go to an event where I can meet Charles Martinet.
Yeah, that's true, because he'll be able to go to more stuff now.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he's basically being paid to do just that. So.
Yep.
But yeah, some people already noticed that Martinet wasn't voicing Mario in the new Super Mario Bros. Wonder trailer.
Mm-hmm.
And so Nintendo came out with a official announcement and also said to keep an eye out for a special video message from Shigeru Miyamoto and Charles himself, which we'll post at a future date. So I'm sure we'll hear more about his new position.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, the later on we get, we'll probably get like convention updates or even just appearances that they may even set up. They may actually make this a more active role than we are assuming it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They could be like, this man's going to work. This old man is going to get out there. He's going to work. We don't pay lazy people. He's getting out there and he's doing work. He's going to be out there building a part of Super Mario Land himself, Jimmy Carter style.
You ready for the small tearjerker part?
Okay.
This means that one of the last lines Charles Martinet recorded for Nintendo, he was doing the Super Mario Bros. Movie, and he had 2 cameo roles as Giuseppe and as Mario's dad.
I didn't know he was Mario's dad.
Yeah, he's Mario's dad. And
nice.
One of the last lines he says in that movie is the last line he says in that movie as Mario's dad, talking about Mario and Luigi, he says, "Those are my boys."
Aww.
Which means that's one of the last things he said. One of the last lines he recorded for Nintendo, talking about Mario and Luigi. "Those are my boys."
Oh, super cute.
But yeah, thank you, Martinet, for the many years you put in as not only Mario, but Luigi and Wario and Waluigi and a bunch of other characters. When Elder Scrolls 6 comes out, I'm sure they'll be contacting you. Not Nintendo, but you'll
right. Well, speaking of painful, and actually this is, in 2 different ways, I am sad to say that today, as of the day of this recording, Terry Funk has died.
I hadn't heard about that.
Yeah, And if anybody out there doesn't know exactly who Terry Funk is, he is a legendary wrestler, mainly known for his more painful matches. Also, if you are a wrestling fan and you don't know who Terry Funk is, you'll know one of his good friends, Mick Foley. They had some amazing matches, one of which is the famous death match in Japan, where they had C4 in the corners, quote-unquote C4 in the corners. I mean, you shake your head, but it looked way better than that AEW crap that they did.
I'm shaking my head because it's like a fucking course they had a death match with fucking C4 in the corners. Because that's what pro wrestling was around that time. Yeah.
I will say I've never really gotten into the whole death match world. It is... I am a soft boy. And death matches are not for soft boys. I am more than happy to admit that. However, do I admit that, I mean, there's a lot, it takes a lot to be able to do something like that, and I've always been impressed by the people that can do it.
Right.
And Terry Funk is one of the best.
Yeah, I didn't know a whole lot about him. I didn't hear about it until just now, but I just looked up some stuff, and man, it's definitely a legend.
Yeah, he's been, what's the best word for it? Convalescing for a little while now. He's been in an old folks home with dementia, which, considering the things that he's been through, it does not surprise me.
Yeah, and he was 79.
Yeah, to see some of the matches that he's been in and to know that he made it to 79, I feel like those things don't add up.
Yeah, it's impressive.
Yeah, man. He's fun. He was fun though. He was always fun. And I'll even admit that I don't know as much about him as I could. A lot of my stuff came through Mick Foley.
Sure.
Like reading his book and then seeing him talk about him. And then I got to see some of his old matches. So I never really, especially again back then, because it's like, a lot of that stuff was Japan stuff, and back then I didn't really have the access to get that stuff. So yeah, there's a lot of his career that I've missed out on. But just reading about him and stuff, he seems to be cool. I mean, he definitely has his problem points, being a product of his time, and some of the things that he said on camera during spots is worse than questionable, but. Again, at the same time, back then, where, kayfabe was a thing, and, you had to be that character 24/7 when people could see you. I mean, I guess I understand it, but Jesus, some of the things.
I've got 2 tweets here that were just easy for me to find. First one was from Mick Foley, who said, Terry Funk is gone. I just talked to Terry's daughter, Brandy, who gave me the awful news. He was my mentor, my idol, one of my closest friends. He was the greatest wrestler I ever saw. If you get the chance, look up a Terry Funk match or a Terry Funk promo and give thanks.
I mean, absolutely. I agree with that.
And then Ric Flair said, in my entire life, I've never met a guy who worked harder. Terry Funk was a great wrestler, entertainer, unbelievably fearless, and a great friend. Rest in peace, my friend Terry Funk, knowing that no one will ever replace you in the world of professional wrestling.
Sweet.
Yeah, pro wrestling will always have a special spot on this podcast, and I know I probably know the least amount about it, but I'm always grateful to learn cool stuff like that about people that I can look back on and watch some matches.
Yep, I definitely would recommend looking up the Mick Foley Terry Funk death match. It's not one of the worst ones, but it's definitely entertaining. The barbed wire ropes is what did it for me.
All right, well, since this is becoming a trend on this podcast, it's time to talk about some stolen trading cards.
Oh, I thought we were going to talk about politics. All right, go ahead.
So there was a police officer in Alabama that was arrested and fired for allegedly stealing Pokemon cards. It's allegedly because, it hasn't gone to court yet.
Right.
But looking through a Kotaku article, Calhoun County Corrections Officer Josh Hardy was arrested on August 12th for attempting a 5-finger pokey discount by opening up multiple Pokemon card packs and swiping individual cards into his pocket within full view of a Walmart loss prevention employee.
Wow.
So here's what happened. Like, dude went into Walmart, and he wasn't in uniform or anything. He's just a guy in Walmart, was in the card section. And if you know anything about the way Walmart's set up, it's one of two spots they're keeping the cards. It's either way back in the toy section, or it's right up front, right next to the registers. So there's a possibility that this guy was, like, super bold.
Right.
But dude was just opening packs, taking cards he wanted out of the packs and pocketing them, and just, like, throwing the cards back right in front of the loss prevention employee. When the loss prevention employee, like, confronted him and was like, hey, what are you doing? He ran, like, left the Walmart.
You know what I would do if I was that security guy? I would be at a loss.
Right? Now, even worse, sometime later, after Walmart had reported the crime to the police station, Oxford Police, where this guy works, they went and found him in uniform getting ready for his shift at a local restaurant with the stolen cards still in his pocket. And they arrested him there in uniform at the restaurant.
Okay. All right. What is there to say about that? I don't even know what to say.
There's not a whole lot you can say. It's just like an Alabama cop just decided
just to lose his damn mind.
So
wow.
There's a quote from the Calhoun County Sheriff, Matthew Wade. It is with great embarrassment that we have to report this incident, and Hardy has been terminated from the Calhoun County Sheriff's Office. He has tarnished our agency and the image of law enforcement. As sheriff, I promise to be transparent and hold my staff accountable to a standard higher than average citizens.
I mean, yes, you should.
Yeah.
But, wow. Ballsy. God. It's so funny.
I just thought that was astounding after us already reporting on the $300,000 Magic the Gathering theft.
Right.
Which, like, fucking Wizards, where were the Pinkertons on that one? just saying.
Yeah, man. Get on it.
Then, the Pinkertons incident and the issue of, like, cards being stolen right off the line by some people who worked for Pokemon. It's just a crazy, crazy world for trading card fans out there right now.
Yeah, I'm still just hung up about the whole story. That's insane.
It's a difficult one to even... Like, okay, obviously, as a podcast, what we try to do is we try to find these stories and then make some sort of commentary on these stories. It's difficult with this one to say anything that the story doesn't say for itself.
Right. It just sums it all up. I mean, really, there's nothing left to say. Y'all, this is what it is. This is what it boiled down to. Why?
All right, let's talk some more about stuff we've already talked about before. So last episode, we talked about the returning of many Ninja Turtles knockoffs. And of course, Mattel has to get in on the action and has decided to bring out a toy line of the Street Sharks.
Has there ever been a toy line of Street Sharks?
Oh, yeah. I had all 4 of them when I was a kid. Yeah, I mean, okay, first of all, here's something you have to understand, Baron. Every single one of those shows back then had a toy line. That was the point. Shows, was
believe
to sell
me,
toys.
I understand. But I guess I've never seen them.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like one of those few things where it's like, it makes sense. Like, I mean, because like even my favorite ones, even my favorite franchises from back then were toys before they were ever cartoons. That's how bad that whole thing is.
Right.
But I just never thought that there was a Street Sharks.
Oh yeah, me and my younger brother, we had all 4 Street Sharks, and they all had their own different toy action. Like one of them, you'd pull the fist back, and it was like a spring-loaded thing. So like when you let it go, he'd like swing forward and punch. The Hammerhead one, when you pressed his fin, like the Hammerhead would jut out and hammer forward. Oh yeah, There were toys. Now, to be fair, we can't necessarily blame this on the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movie coming out. We can't necessarily blame this on all the other shows making a comeback, because it does just so happen to be the 30-year anniversary of the original toy line launching.
Rick, and I mean this with all due respect.
Which isn't much.
I haven't said it, Rick. I haven't said it. And I mean this with all due respect. No one gives a fuck about Street Sharks. The only thing that people care less about is the biker mice from Mars. That's the only thing people care less about.
And the Cowboys of Moo Mesa.
Right. That whole I can't even remember what it's called. That's how much I don't give a fuck about it. But the whole cats in fighter jets.
SWAT cats.
Thing. Is it SWAT cats? That doesn't even make sense to me. SWAT cats?
Mm-hmm.
Anyways. People care more about that thing.
Yeah, honestly, okay, I don't necessarily disagree with you. But if I were ranking those shows, if like TMNT is obviously number 1, right? There's no arguing that. I always looked at Street Sharks as number 2.
Okay.
And maybe I'm wrong.
You are.
But like, that's still a huge gap. Like from number 1 to number 2. Like we're still all picking TMNT every day.
I think that goes without saying.
But yeah, it looks like for anyone who does care about Street Sharks, which is, according to Baron, none of you.
Hey, you know what? If you disagree, come at me in the comments.
It does look like they are putting a lot of work into this particular toy series. There's a lot of nostalgia that's going into it and like what the toys can do and what they are. So if you're a toy collector and you like that kind of stuff, look out for it. Here it comes. Street Sharks. They bite. They fight. Street Sharks.
Do not do that. Do not use their tagline.
You're
not allowed.
Late.
I forbid it. Yeah, you already said it. Never mind.
You're lucky I didn't start the episode with it.
That's fair. I mean, yeah, that's very fair.
All right. Switching over to video gaming news. For anybody who still has an Xbox 360, the virtual store for the Xbox 360 is officially shutting down just before its 20th anniversary. So it's been live for a real long time. But yeah, it's shutting down, so get what you can out of it while you can out of it. I'm sure you'll still be able to play games that you have downloaded, but if you're looking to download anything new, you're not going to be able to very soon.
Yeah, get on it.
I do have to say that like the Xbox Arcade was one of like the original console virtual stores and was probably a big reason for the indie game boom in like the mid 2000s, early to mid 2000s. A lot of games like Super Meat Boy, Binding of Isaac, Castle Crashers would be buried along with other indie titles on Steam, if not being vaulted to a higher status on the Xbox Live Arcade indie game jams or whatever they called them. So the store shutting down, it is kind of a big deal, but also not a big deal because, I mean, I don't have an Xbox 360. I don't know anyone who does. So it's not like anything is actually changing for us. It's just kind of officially the end of an era.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
A lot of people's first gamer tags came from Xbox 360.
Yeah. I think, mine was.
As long as we're looking back on the retro, a new game just came out this month that some people might have missed out on that you should be looking for on Steam and Nintendo Switch called Bomb Rush Cyberfunk. If you ever played Jet Set Radio for the Dreamcast or any of its remakes, this thing looks like a Jet Set Radio expansion pack. Like, I almost don't even want to call it a spiritual sequel, which is what it actually is, because it's not made by the same people. It's not actually Jet Set Radio. But the graphics look almost identical, that cell shading. The feel of you are a group of rad dudes on rollerblades and skateboards tagging the city and trying to take down the man. That's this whole game. I don't know if you were ever a Jet Set Radio fan.
Nah.
but I was, and it's pretty huge deal for me. And it's not super expensive. It's only like a $40 game, which nowadays that's pretty good at release. So I'd recommend checking it out.
Yep. Say I remember Jet Set Radio being a thing.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I guess at the time when it came out, I always kind of thought that it was just like a Tony Hawk clone kind of deal.
Mm-hmm.
But just kind of looking at it now, I guess I didn't realize there were so many more aspects to it.
Yeah.
Like I like the whole tagging feature. There's a combat feature too.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
oh yeah, it was a full on like action RPG almost.
That's cool. Yeah, I'd be willing to give it a shot.
I will say it does have a certain level of difficulty to it because you have a lot of things you're juggling while you're trying to combat, skate, tag all at the same time. So my recommendation for you personally would be maybe wait for it to hit a sale. That way you don't spend $40 on a game that you're like, well, I can't even play this. All right, when we said we were going to stop talking about movies for the WGA SAG AFTRA strike, we did say we might talk about some old ones. So we're currently in the 20-year anniversary for Oldboy.
Oh, wow.
And I'm assuming, knowing what kind of movies you like, you're a fan of Oldboy, Baron.
It's enjoyable.
Yeah, it was a pivotal moment in like the kung fu kind of like action genre.
Yeah, just I would say the action genre. It also, I think, had a big influence on like mind movies that are essentially mind fucks.
Yeah,
you know, it
kind of started a trend. Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's definitely very influential. I mean, it's pretty much the movie where we got the hallway fight scene from every Marvel TV show and movie.
The creators of John Wick said they were basically trying to create Oldboy with guns.
Okay. All right. I mean, I don't see it, but I mean, now that they mention it, it's like, okay, maybe. Okay, I could see you kind of go in that direction, maybe. Did they have any unbroken shots in John Wick or any of the John Wicks?
Yeah, the first one.
No, they did. I'm thinking of it now.
The first one was very all about that kind of action. I mean, they kind of broke away from that in some of the sequels, and I think that was because a lot of the same people weren't behind the sequels as the original. I think they set out to make a movie, and then it just got so popular that they made a bunch of sequels. So John Wick honestly works better as a standalone than with, 3 sequels and a series now?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, especially like the nightclub in John Wick 1.
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking of the bigger action sequences. Like, it's like right after I said that, I was thinking of that, and I was like, yeah, the big action sequences were essentially uncut.
Mm-hmm.
As uncut as they could get them.
Yep. But yeah, as you mentioned, the hallway fight, like I'm looking at an article on Polygon talking about the 20-year anniversary for Oldboy, and they're talking about how it's inspired endless copycats and homages from The Raid to Redemption to Netflix's Daredevil.
Yeah.
To The Princess and all the way up to James Gunn's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
Oh, so, I mean, especially, yeah, that whole hallway scene in Volume 3, yeah, 100%. Mm-hmm. And it's like, you could easily say, oh, well, like, let's just say I'm James Gunn. It's like, oh, no, my hallway scene was inspired by, I don't know, Daredevil. And it's like, okay, but Daredevil was, you are...
I doubt that anyone would argue that they weren't influenced by Oldboy. Like, even if I had originally been inspired by Netflix's Daredevil, if anyone was asking me in an interview, I'd be like, oh yeah, that was Oldboy, because that's way cooler of a inspiration.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, especially like if you were a director and you didn't want to sound like an idiot. Mm-hmm. Even if you were like inspired by Daredevil, you have to be like, oh, Oldboy was my inspiration.
Yeah.
That movie really touched me in a way. And, me and my daughter were able to bond over that movie. We grew closer after watching that movie. And someone leans over. Did you watch that movie? Yeah, sure. Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Well,
If anybody's seen the movie, if anybody's seen that movie, you know how funny that last part was.
Well, let me tell you, the biggest reason I brought this up was because there is a newly refurbished and remastered 4K version of Oldboy, and it is, as of recording, it is in theaters right now, and it will still be in theaters by the time this episode is up. It is a very limited release, so it's not available just everywhere. The only theater near me that's playing it is a drive-in, but that might be worth it. It's a great movie to go out and see if you haven't seen it. And honestly, if you haven't had a chance to see it, I'd recommend seeing it in theaters for the first time.
Yeah, that's a hell of a good watch in theaters.
Mm-hmm.
That movie, it's very rare where I can look at a movie and be like, that movie was made for a theater.
Yes.
That's one of them. I know that there are other movies out there where people are like, that movie is made for a theater, and I'm like, I mean, no, I can watch it at home. That's fine. I'm going to get the same experience there. I'm fine.
Right.
But yeah, this is one of those, especially that hallway scene in the theaters. Criminy.
Come on.
That'd be great. That would be great.
Especially in 4K. Like if there's like a 4K IMAX theater playing that thing, treat yourself. That's all I got to say on that one.
Right, exactly.
But after you get done watching Oldboy, you should come home and treat yourself again to a bath with Geeky Clean Bath products.
Yeah.
The handmade monthly dice set Bath Bomb subscription box is the ultimate indulgence for dice enthusiasts and bath lovers alike. Every month, subscribers receive a curated, handmade dice bath bomb, each with its own unique scent, color, and set of dice. These bath bombs are carefully crafted with high-quality ingredients, providing a relaxing and exciting soak every time.
The colors and scents change each month, so subscribers never know what to expect. From vibrant hues to calming shades, and from sweet and floral fragrances to spicy and invigorating scents, the dice bombs change every month. And of course, the highlight of the subscription box is the different sets of dice. Each month, subscribers receive a new set of dice ready for their next adventure.
The dice bomb for September is scented with a leather, amber, and warm citrus fragrance. Each black die also has orange details on the faces, featuring Halloween designs of ghosts, cauldrons, and bats. Each bath bomb also comes with a linen dice bag. And don't forget, you can get 10% off your subscription or any order with our link or discount code GUILDDECREE. All right, bringing it back to video games, something big went down this past week. Gamescom Opening Night Live 2023. We're not even going to talk about Jeff and his, for some reason, need to host every gaming event, even though I don't think he should anymore. We're not even going to talk about that. I've got a list here of all the big games, the announcements, and trailers. And I'm just kind of going to go over them, and we'll kind of tell you what we think. Fucking Jeff Keighley. Anyway. First of all, we had Little Nightmares 3. Did you play either one of the first ones?
No, there was a third one coming out. I mean, I guess I should have guessed there was a third one coming. Yes, I have. I've played those.
I haven't played either of them, but I've heard wonderful things about both of them.
Mm-hmm. You could play that game in a theater, for sure.
But the big addition for Little Nightmares 3 is going to be the addition of co-op.
I mean, that almost feels like an inevitable conclusion. I wouldn't have guessed it, honestly, because it's like, how would they do that?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I could totally see it.
And that's supposed to be coming out next year. There's actually also a whole podcast that's being created called The Sounds of Nightmares that's covering the behind the scenes of that game's production.
Neat. It'll be fun.
Mm-hmm. All right, next there's a game I did not know was coming out, but covers one of my favorite myths, one of my favorite legends and stories, Black Myth Wukong.
What? I mean, I know Wukong.
Black Myth Wukong is just the title of the game, but it's coming from,
okay, so
yeah, it's from Journey to the West. I mean, is the myth that it's, but yeah, but it's an action RPG from Chinese developer Game Science, and it looks very dark. Like it almost looks like it's It's definitely action RPG, but almost leaning horror, kind of like a Dark Souls or an Elden Ring, where like, the story around it's very dark, but it's not a horror game. I'm hoping that it's not as hard as a Dark Souls or an Elden Ring.
I was about to say gameplay looks like it could be kind of close to like God of War.
Yeah, which I think it should be for Wukong. Like, I don't think combat should be difficult for the Monkey King. Mm-mm. Like, he should be taking on most opponents very easily if they're, but it should be fun. It should be enjoyable combat. Next on the list, we had Killing Floor 3. Not a whole lot to say about Killing Floor 3. Honestly, if you've played any of the Killing Floor games before, it's another one.
It is a game.
It looks pretty gnarly, pretty gory. It's Killing Floor.
I think you just read that description straight off their site.
Next up, we had Age of Empires 4 Anniversary Edition.
I'm finding out more and more that it's like the concept of these games seems really appealing to me, right? Like, really appealing.
What, Age of Empires?
Then I play them.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm horrible at them.
It does take a special type of mind to play Age of Empires, and it's a severe time sink.
What the hell are you trying to say?
Look, I'm not saying that it takes like a certain level of intelligence. I'm saying that it takes a certain type of person.
Look, you're either insulting me or insulting people who enjoy these games. I need to know who you're talking about.
I'm not insulting either. You're trying to back me into a corner here, Barrett. I'm not going to let you do it.
Well, how am I supposed to paint this floor?
Oh, God. So, basically, Xbox has been releasing anniversary editions of the Age of Empire games. The last one was an anniversary of Age of Empires 2, so it seems that they are politely ignoring Age of Empires 3, which was pretty generally accepted that it's like the worst of the series. So I guess they just decided they weren't going to put the time into doing a re-release of that one. But it's actually available now. They like shadow dropped it on the night of Gamescom.
Mm-hmm.
And it's part of Game Pass. So if you have Game Pass, you can play it right now. Next up was Rebel Moon. Zack Snyder came forward with basically a trailer for a new game coming out from Netflix Games.
Gross. Gross. I don't even want to cover this game.
They showed no footage of the game whatsoever. They basically, to quote, it is a game where you pick your rebel and join in on the fun. So, who knows? Next up, we have Crimson Desert, which had a very long gameplay trailer. It basically looks like a competitor for Assassin's Creed.
Okay.
Which Assassin's Creed really needs a good competitor to kind of kick them in the ass, honestly.
Yeah. Though, I mean, I really did like the last two games they put out. I mean,
sure.
I'm not going to, I mean, like we say they need a good kick in the ass, but then it's like, I don't know, the last two games are way better than anything they've really put out.
Yeah, but like, where's that bar is the problem, I think.
Right.
It's like, yeah, they were better than a lot of these older games, but that's not a huge bar. And also, you're not usually someone to complain about glitches in games, but some of those games, Jesus.
Well, though I will say this, I'm not one to complain about glitches in games because I've played games with real glitches.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like people wanted to talk about, let's just say, Assassin's Creed. It's like, my dude, I've played Skyrim.
Right.
I've played Skyrim. That boy has some issues. I'm just saying.
All right, well, as long as we're talking about Assassin's Creed, the next game on the list is Assassin's Creed Mirage.
And is that the game that they're making everybody think is coming out, but it's really not?
That would make sense based on the title. But we didn't see any gameplay. It's a story trailer, but they made a bold move. They did the entire story trailer in Arabic.
Okay, cool.
So, I mean, like, if they're really trying to do cultural immersion with their story, they're doing it. I don't know too much about that either because, once again, they didn't show any gameplay. But it's supposedly a soft reboot of like the entire franchise.
What?
Yeah.
I mean, it needs it. I will say that it needs it.
And
it was getting a little much. I was like, spoiler, when you have literal Loki walking around
yeah,
your Assassin's Creed world.
Maybe we need to bring it back down a little bit. Like, there's too much. But yeah, that comes out October 5th. Next up was Tekken 8. A lot of good fighting games coming out this year. We had the new Street Fighter game, the basically reboot of the entire world from Mortal Kombat, and now we got Tekken 8. Basically, there's new story mode that focuses on a player-created character. That's very similar to what Street Fighter 6 is doing. And the Mishimas are at it again, man. I don't know what else to say. Heihachi is up to his fucking shit. Back on his bullshit.
Back on his bullshit.
And you gotta kick his ass. That's Tekken.
That's how he be.
Heihachi's on some bullshit. Go kick his ass. That's Tekken. Oh, man. Talk about games I'm not even sure we want to cover. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 coming out. It's got a new zombie mode. Supposedly open world this time.
Is it?
Look, man, the COD bros are going to be excited. It's coming out November 10th.
Yeah. I'm glad you guys are getting another game out there.
Like you do every year.
Yeah, it'll be. You'll love it, I'm sure.
It's not.
I almost think that we should just. I almost think that we should just. No, not me either. I almost think that we should do like, why don't we just do Call of Duty, right? And then just do downloadable content for the rest of the time. That's all we need to do. Just like the Madden games and any other sports game. I know my nerd is coming out and, I feel like I have an animosity for bro games, but I don't. I love Madden. Actually, I really love hockey games. Call of Duty, I don't like. Sorry. But come on. There's even some games that I like that it's just like, do we need another one? Can we just like just keep adding downloadable content to it, please?
Yeah. I mean, like, I agree. We didn't need Overwatch 2.
Oh, well,
like that could have just been more downloadable content for Overwatch.
Yeah.
All right, next on the list we have Nightingale, retro fantasy survival game. Had a gameplay trailer. Looks like guns, exploration, building, magic. It's retro survival fantasy.
It's funny.
I mean,
you just. So it's funny though because we went from the bro games where I was like super just dismissive of it, and then you just hopped right into a game that I would fucking love.
I gave it the same attitude. Yeah,
but it's like
no,
but it's like really, if I look at it from an objective standpoint, yeah. I mean, how many survival games do we fucking need at this point?
But no. In all honesty,
what was it called again?
Nightingale. We all know that survival is your deal. Survival has never been my deal. It's not my thing. But it does. Looking at the art, it does look cool as shit. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I am familiar with the game, but it's been forever since I've seen a fucking trailer for this. It's like been forever.
And it will be launching into early access February 22nd.
Good lord, it's only getting into early access in February?
Yeah. But like, survival games seem, to me, once again, I'm not super into survival games, so I could be wrong. It feels like it looks like a hard type of game to build. With all the shit you've got to put into, with like the great big maps, all the different things you can do, all the different items, all the different ways they interact with each other, it feels to me like a difficult type of game to build.
Yeah, I can agree.
And if you aren't some big developer or publisher, like if you're indie, which most of the survival games are, like that makes it even harder.
Yeah, looks cool though.
All right, if you're the type of person who likes Genshin Impact or Honkai Star Rail or some of those other free-to-play time sync style games out of, Japan.
I'm not.
We've got Zenless Zone Zero.
Okay.
I don't know a whole lot else to say about it. I know this is made by the same people who made Honkai Star Rail. They announced this and a PS5 release of Honkai Star Rail. I mean, It's not my type of game either, but I know they're huge. I know a lot of people talk about how great Genshin is, and
Right.
I know it's a huge type of game, so maybe this will be your thing. Not you specifically, Baron, but
right. Yeah. Yeah. I figured we were talking to the listener at this point.
All right, and another Souls-like coming out. If you like that kind of difficulty level in your games, Lords of the Fallen got a premiere trailer.
You know I don't. You know I don't.
It's coming out October 13th. Man, all these games look so fucking cool. Like, if you look at, like, Dark Souls, you look at Elden Ring, I want to be into this type of game so fucking bad. I just don't have the time or the skill. Like, it looks fucking cool. Like, the enemies especially, just the design in general. It looks fucking awesome. Just, if you're the type of to play, like, Dark Souls and shit, look at Lords of the Fallen.
Do it.
We talked about this earlier in the season, but Sega is coming out with a co-op Sonic game. We got a new trailer for that, and Sega also announced they're making an expansion for Sonic Frontiers. So Sonic Frontiers, the single-player game, getting an expansion, and we got a new trailer. I mean, it didn't really show much else, like anything new, but it reminded you, Sonic's got a co-op game coming out, up to 4 players.
Consider me reminded.
All right, now this one I know you're going to like, because you are the type to like the narrative survival games.
Are we talking to the listener again? Or
no, I'm talking to you this time, Baron.
Okay.
Because I know you like games like Firewatch and Subnautica. Under the Waves got a launch trailer.
Under the Waves.
And that'll be coming out August 29th. It looks very big budget. It's coming out of Quantic Dream, so...
I feel like with the trauma from this year, I don't know if I would play this game.
You're fine. You're not a billionaire.
That's right.
And your game controller controlling the submarine will be very far away, not underneath the water.
Ouch. Oh my god.
Oh snap, Guildmaster Rick went there.
How did they think that was gonna work? Anyways.
That's my new catchphrase, Baron. You like it? Oh snap, Guildmaster Rick went there.
We can workshop it.
Next up, we've got Expedition. If you've ever played Snow Runner or Mud Runner, it's an off-roading game.
Okay.
Four-wheel drive.
That could be cool. I'm not a racing guy, but I mean, it's way better than the racetrack games that they keep putting out.
You mean like the Crew Motorfest, which is the next thing on our list?
I'm so sorry, the Crew Motorfest. I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. Anyways, what are they?
The Crew Motorfest is basically another Forza clone, but it's like the entire thing is supposed to be taking place at some race festival.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know. It's a racing game.
Sure.
I'm sure there are like other types of cars or stuff that aren't in other racing games, or there's other things about it. I don't know. If you're a fan of racing games, look, and I know we've shit on a lot of games while going through this list. Understand if you are a fan of these games, we're not shitting on you.
Yeah. I guess that's. I'm glad you said that because well, I mean, if you listen to the cast, you know that we are in full acceptance of like what you like.
Yeah,
it's okay not to like something, and we're not shitting on you if you do like something, but we will shit on the game from our perspective.
Yeah. But next up, we got a trailer for Phantom Liberty. Oh my fucking god. Like, the thing is, this trailer included 2 things. Not only did it include Phantom Liberty, but it included the free 2.0 update. Fucking, the UI is looking fucking awesome now. It looks like this 2.0 update, while I didn't have that many gripes with Cyberpunk, not as many as the people who are actually hating on Cyberpunk, any gripe that I had looks to be fixed with this 2.0 update. I am thinking about going back and playing this game from the beginning again with the 2.0 update before even starting to dive into Phantom Liberty. The game looks sexy, Baron. It looks sexy.
That might be a good plan. You start from the beginning and then take that character into Phantom Liberty, if that's even the thing. I'm sure that is.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's you take an established character and go into the Phantom Liberty expansion.
Yeah, it's just like it's basically a whole new area of the city that got opened up. Like it's a whole new section of the city with a whole new thing that's going on in that part of the city.
And I know that there's probably going to be those people who are like, oh, this is just stuff that they were going to put into the game originally anyways. Now they're treating it like an expansion. It's like, yeah, so? I mean, at this point, I don't really fucking care.
Yeah, and honestly, with all the shit they're giving you for free in the 2.0 update, it kind of shuts down that argument any fucking way. So, because, like, they could have put all of it in the expansion pass. But instead, they're giving you entire UI update, new weapons, new skill trees, new everything. Honestly, this feels like this is what was supposed to be in the game, and they are giving you that for free. And then on top of that, on the same day, September 26th, by the way, they're releasing an expansion pass, which probably would have been the first expansion pass planned for Cyberpunk. Look, all I'm saying is the original problem with Cyberpunk was that they didn't give CD Projekt Red time to cook.
Yes.
And now they've been cooking. They let them cook, and fuck, it looks fucking good. It's a good time to get into the game if you haven't. Last week we told you about a sale that was going on in Steam. I hope you took advantage if you didn't already have it. It's a fucking good game. Next up on the list, I thought this type of game was dead, honestly, Baron, and it could just be because I'm not in that world anymore. But we got a real-time strategy game, a la StarCraft and Warcraft.
Ooh.
And I don't mean like World of Warcraft. I mean Warcraft.
Are you talking to me about that?
You and the listener.
No. You move that to just the listener, sir.
Okay.
Me, the guy who complained about Warcraft 3 when it came out because it was so unlike Warcraft 2, but still ended up enjoying it.
I really liked Warcraft 3.
Hey, if it wasn't for Warcraft 3, we wouldn't get World of Warcraft. That's where most of the fucking lore came from.
Right. But anyway, this game is called...
what is this again?
It's called Stormgate, and basically you're controlling a whole fucking demon horde.
Okay.
Well, okay, that was one of the factions they showed off in this particular trailer. There will be other factions, but this particular faction was called the Infernals. It's an entire fucking demon horde. It looks fucking cool.
So I'm assuming it's your typical strategy game where, you have characters who go out and mine and get resources, and then you use those resources to build your armies. And
Yep.
Good.
It's exactly what you want.
I'll tell you, I do love these games. You know what I hate about these games, though?
What's that?
Playing against other people.
Yeah. I would expect, even with Warcraft 3, I just played through the story, and I never got online or anything like that with it. There's just a whole nother level of players that I will never achieve when it comes to people who are playing those games multiplayer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, every time I play someone who's good at those games, it's like I'm playing, having a good time, right? I'm building up my armies, and I'm okay, I got one or two good squads. I'm gonna go and explore. I'm gonna go and check out, let's see how well they're doing, maybe put a little dent in what they're going. I get there and they've got 80 squads of things, and that whole area around them has just been deforested, and I'm like, how did you do that in 15 minutes? I don't understand. Yeah, I'm not efficient, I guess.
It's them hotkeys, man. You and I are clicking and dragging and making of boxes and okay, you three guys, you go over here, and you guys, and these guys are just hotkeys, man.
Yeah, no, you're right.
I don't know if you've heard about this one yet. Last Epoch, but basically the idea behind this game is the developers are trying to build this ultimate action RPG by making it community built RPG. They showed off a new class called the Rune Master, and the game will be officially launching September 7th. The concept of the game in general sounds cool, but I feel like we might have a too many cooks in the kitchen type of thing go down with a community-built RPG.
Yeah. I mean, I like the idea, the concept of it, but I guess what people tend to forget is, and I mean this in a general aspect, people are shit.
Yeah.
When you get them all together in a group, it just something isn't going to work. That's just how it always is.
Right.
So yeah, I'm just kind of afraid. I mean, I like the idea behind it. I like actually how they're breaking down a very D&D style. You have your base classes, and then they each have like a subclass.
Mm-hmm.
I
mean, it sounds like they're trying to do what video games, what Kobold Press's Black Flag project was trying to do for tabletop games.
Okay, that makes sense.
I mean, it could work. I'm pulling for them. Let's say that. We'll see September 7th. I'm pulling for them. Let's see if they pull it off. Next on the list was Mortal Kombat 1. I mean, it's Mortal Kombat. They've reset the story. Specifically in the story, Liu Kang rebooted the universe or whatever. Shit looks brutal. It's Mortal Kombat.
I mean, I respect the history.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's Mortal Kombat.
I'll probably play it at some point in time. I do like Mortal Kombat. I like fighting games in general. Yeah, it looks fucking good. If you're a fighting game fan, it looks like it'll be worth it. Next up, we had Ara History Untold. Looks like another Civilization style game. Like an alternate history. You run the world, your particular country. If you've ever played a Civilization game, you get the idea. Looks like they're trying to be like a competitor in that arena.
Get on it.
Next up, we got Diablo 4. They're still plugging along. I know a lot of people left Diablo 4 when Baldur's Gate 3 came out, but Diablo 4 is getting ready to hit their next season, and it looks like it's all about vampires.
Vampires.
And hunting them down. It's called Season of Blood. I mean, I didn't pick up Diablo 4 when it came out because I knew Baldur's Gate was coming out, and they're not even like the same type of game per se, but Diablo has always been a huge time sink as far as concerned. It's a very grindy game, but if you are a Diablo 4 fan, this season does look fucking cool with the vampires.
Yeah, that's another game that I really respect the history of, but I've never really. I mean, I played it for a little bit when it was like Diablo. I don't know. It just didn't do it for me, and I don't know what it was about it, but it just didn't. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't RPG-y enough for me.
Yeah, it is its own kind of genre of like dungeon crawl type game.
It's not necessarily roguelike.
No.
Right?
No, because the dungeons, I believe, are always the same.
Right.
No, honestly, it's... Okay, Baron, you are an old school TTRPG fan.
One could say that, yes.
But you're not this type of old school TTRPG fan. There's this very specific dungeon crawl TTRPG fan where they're like, give me my character, put me in a dungeon, I'm going to take this sack of flour and this 10-foot pole, and we're going to slog through this dungeon. I don't care why we're here. I don't care what the MacGuffin is. What monsters do I get to kill? What experience do I get? What loot do I get?
Hackmasters.
And that is Diablo.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that's probably why it didn't appeal to me. Yeah, right. You're right. Yep.
Which, no shade if that's the type of game that you're looking for.
Well,
that's
I mean, you know, if you play TTRPGs, and that's a game you're looking for, please avoid my table. I'll just say that. No shame.
Yeah.
But that
game is out
away.
there for you. It is out there for you. It's just not what we're playing.
Right.
Next on the list is Dustborn, and Dustborn, I want to know more about this game, but I don't know a whole lot about this game. All I know is it looks like there's 4 kind of oddball, wacky characters that all seem to be on a road trip in like a cartoonish Scott Pilgrim-esque like sci-fi world where they're, you know, beating the crap out of people in like third-person action style. So
it looks kind of Overwatchy to me.
Yeah, in the style. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah. The
cell shading and the character designs and stuff like that.
I don't know a whole lot about it, but I want to know more about it. It looks neat.
Yeah. This is the first I've heard about it, and it looks interesting. There are so many aspects to it, though. It's like I'm looking at this, and it's like, oh no, this is like an RPG. Then it's like, oh wait, no, this seems to be kind of like an open world action game. Wait, is that a rhythm game they're playing? It's all over the place.
Yeah, I don't know. I want to know more. It looks neat. I'll be watching for more out of this game. Next on my list here is Thank Goodness You're Here. Once again, I don't know a whole lot about this. Here's how I'm going to put it. There's a very specific cartoon era out of Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon, more Cartoon Network, honestly, where you had Chowder and Clarence, Flapjack, like that whole kind of cartoon era. Take that era of Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon, make it a 2D platformer. That's what this looks like.
Yeah, I'm seeing it. Yeah. And you described that perfectly too.
I don't know too much else about it. That's what it looks like to me.
No, 100%. 100%. I mean, if I found out that animator or an artist from Cartoon Network, again, from that era, did this, I would not be surprised.
Yeah, or even just someone inspired by that era.
Well, I mean, the developers who are, becoming in their early 20s and stuff right now, they would have been 100% influenced by this.
100%. Yep. All right, last on my list is Alan Wake 2. They did a world premiere trailer for that game. Alan Wake came out a long fucking time ago. It was a good fucking horror game. Look, I can't do any better than this. Polygon describes the first game as equal parts Twin Peaks homage and Stephen King riff. And that's fucking Alan Wake in a nutshell, I gotta tell you. And it looks like the sequel is picking up right where the first game left off. Who knows how many years later. I'm gonna look it up, because Alan Wake came out a while ago. I was not expecting to see a sequel to this game this many years later. 2010 is when the first Alan Wake came out. So 13 years later, we're getting a trailer to announce that it's getting a sequel. If you like horror games, Alan Wake has always been one I've recommended. A lot of horror games can sometimes struggle to give you that powerless feeling. I think Alan Wake does a really good job at it. If you like horror games, check it out. And that was everything that was announced at Gamescom.
Crazy. That's a hell of a list. I mean, there's a few games. Like, sometimes you come up with these, these lists. You don't come up with them, but you get these lists, and you're like, these are the games that are doing this. And I'm just like, wow, not a single game. Not a single game am I excited for. This one, yeah, it really hit a few notes for me. I mean, I definitely added a few games to my wish list.
So I said this last episode that we might be on the precipice of a golden era, a new golden era in gaming.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna say it until some of these games release and I actually get my hands on them. But man, does it look like that's the way we're headed. Yeah.
I'm definitely seeing, well, not only just a bunch of different games, but a bunch of different varieties of games. Mm-hmm. A bunch of different varieties of quality games.
It does look like the bar has been raised.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I think that I really, really hope that, I think that we've had a lot of indie game developers showing up, the big game developers, but they're unnoticed because they're just indie, and a lot of people they're the brand name consumers. If it's not a brand name, they're not going to notice them.
Right.
I think that with Baldur's Gate 3 coming out, it definitely made people sit back and think, oh my god, have the big game developing companies been fucking with me this whole time? And I really, really hope that they go out and look at a lot of these indie games that are out there that, cost fractions of what these big games are costing, and see how good they are and how much love and effort are put into these games. I really, really thought that when Valheim came out, I thought that would make people sit back and think, oh, wait a minute. These indie game guys, this is... And I think some of us did, but not enough of us did.
Right.
So, yeah. I would say if you walk away from anything from this podcast, get an indie game. Go out on Steam, download an indie game, play it, let me know what you think, because, I mean, my library is filled with indie games.
Yeah.
One, because they're cheap, because, Guildmaster's poor, but Two, because they just look neat.
Yeah, I feel like a clear message has been sent to AAA game developers with Baldur's Gate 3 and some of the other things that have come out recently that they're no longer safe to just release whatever they want year after year.
Right.
And people are just going to take it because it's what's there.
Right.
And hopefully they'll pick up on that.
I hope.
And with that, I think we're going to call this one an episode.
Solid.
Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Casters Guild. Email us at castersguild@gmail.com. Let us know what indie games we should be checking out. Maybe we'll put together a list. I don't know. Come join us on the Discord. That's where all the fun stuff is happening. And we will see you in the next one. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
See you later. Wahoo.